I'm Madeline Burke for the Game Day, joined by New York City-based basketball guru Tommy Beer. And Tommy, this season has been amazing for the Knicks. This team has exceeded all expectations. And sure, right now they're playing great basketball, but how high is the ceiling for this Knicks team?
Well, it's a good question, Maddie, and it's important to note that Mayor de Blasio just said this week that July 1st, city's open, which means when the Knicks win the championship in July, we'll be able to have a parade, which is great. So get the Canyon Heroes ready. I think, listen, Knicks have obviously exceeded expectations. They came into the season, Vegas had their over-under like 22. They're, 6 or 7 games above 500 right now with the Hawks loss. And the Knicks victory, they're sole position, sole control of 4th place right now, which means they have a decent chance to obviously get home court advantage in the first round. They have a 6-game road trip coming up. That's going to be very difficult. They're going to play at the Suns in Phoenix, the Nuggets in Denver. They play both LA teams in Los Angeles. So all things considered, obviously, I think the key for the Knicks is to avoid that play-in scenario. So that means finishing either 4, 5, or 6 in the Eastern standings. Ideally, they'd hold on to either 4 or 5 because you finish in that 6th seed. That means you're going to have to play the Bucks, the Nets, or the Sixers in round 1. And that's a really, really tough ask, even for as well as the Knicks have played. If they can stay in that 4-5 matchup, that means they'd probably play either the Hawks or the Celtics in round 1. And as well as New York has played, they play defensively. They play a half-court offense that's kind of built for the postseason. I think they'd have a realistic shot to really put a scare into one of those two teams. So I think as a Knicks fan, even though they've exceeded expectations, now it's time to get a little bit greedy, see if you can hold on to that 4 or 5 seed and really try to make some noise and see if you can advance to the second round of the postseason.
Yeah. I mean, it's been 8 years since we've seen the Knicks in the postseason. This team, Madison Square Garden, needs that right now. And I think when the Knicks are in the playoffs, when the Knicks are good, the league as a whole is good. And it's been fun to watch them grow. And I mean, looking at Thibs putting on this man comes in, a defensive-minded coach, has immediately put his stamp on this young team. And I do think if the Knicks not only get to the playoffs, but also kind of challenge that first-round opponent, maybe even mess around and win a series, that is going to be tremendous for wrangling future free agents. Because free agents want to sign with a place that isn't just on an upward trajectory, but has shown how far up of the trajectory they are. Not just a team that, they're close to the postseason, but okay, they made the postseason. They won a first-round series. If I go there, maybe we win another. Maybe we get to the conference finals. That's what free agents want to see, and that's what the Knicks are building towards. It's going to be interesting, though, how they play this, because Julius Randle is at the peak of his career. This man came into this season a career 29% three-point shooter. Now he's shooting over 40 from deep. What a growth for Julius Randle. And the way Julius has played is the way the Knicks have gone. The question is, do the Knicks kind of capitalize? Do they trade him while he's at this peak value because, he's only got a couple more years on this very cheap contract? Or do they build around him? We just got to give him his flowers, Tommy. How good has Julius Randle been?
Absolutely. And I think just real quick, circling back to your point, Maddie, I think it's huge. The Nets obviously are championship favorites right now. They signed KD, they signed Kyrie. And the reason they were able to kind of get those key players is they showed that they were on an upward trajectory. They kind of, Sean Marks and Kenny Atkinson kind of built that culture. They were scrappy. They were young. They were improving. And then a team, an elite free agent said, hey, I can take that team over the top. And the Knicks haven't been able to get free agents because they've been so bad for so long. To your point, I think this is really, really, essential for them to kind of get back into that recruitment game. As far as Julius Randle goes, it's a fascinating question. Only 1 year left on his contract after this season. It's a team option for around $18 million. Yes, it'll be fascinating. There will be trade offers, you have to assume, but at this point, as well as he's played, you'd think the Knicks will kind of view him as a foundational building piece. He's on pace for not a very good season, but one of the better seasons in Knick history. He's on pace to join Russell Westbrook as the second player in NBA history to average 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and at least 2 3-pointers made per game. Only 5 Knicks in history have finished in the top 5 in MVP voting, as well as Randle has played, as well as the Knicks have exceeded expectations this season. I think there's legitimate arguments to be made that he's in that conversation for 4th, 5th, 6th. Jokic is going to win MVP, and you got other guys like Embiid and Steph Curry, et cetera, that are going to probably round out the top 3. But outside of that, Randle has played that well for the entirety of the season, leads the league in minutes, been durable, been available, has really put the Knicks on his back. He scored 30 points. Last night that was the 11th time this season. The Knicks are 10-1 in those games.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to see the value that he brings to the Knicks. I mean, he is definitely the most valuable player on that roster. I think for the league, he's going to get that most improved player hardware because it is just incredible to watch how much he has grown at this point in his career. Tommy Beer, thanks for taking the time. Looking forward to watch the rest of the Knicks season as they continue to glow up on their way to the postseason.